So my name's Amanda, and I'm going to be applying for a TED Talk. And thank you, my friend Corey, for watching this, and give me your honest feedback on that later. So I was gonna go off of my notes and what I wrote down, but I'm not very good at talking scripted, so I'm just gonna kind of start. And basically, my message is, just we're supposed to be good to each other, and I'll kind of backtrack and go to how I got to that one. I mean, that's kind of a given, but I mean, I just got to put it in a pretty blunt perspective from it's pretty cool happenings. But so try to kind of keep it short and simple. So it was a long-term relationship. Good person, I previous to that I was pretty social, and I bartended, and had people I considered family and good close friends and whatnot, and lived in town, and was kind of in the heart of stuff, so it was a lot easier to get to places. And I used to go to the lake a lot, and kind of did my thing, and I think sometimes when you do date people, you make I don't want to call it sacrifices, because that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be complimentary. But I mean, you make, you give certain things up that maybe weren't as serving to you, and you feel relationships are worth that. And getting further into the relationship, we've been dating for 2-3 years, and person I was dating, super nice person, doesn't drink, didn't smoke, did nothing, and I wasn't used to that, but it was good for me. So I spent a lot of time gardening, and just kind of doing my own thing and working, and fish tanks, and growing stuff, and wanted to do my own medicinal, like natural healing stuff. So I was investing a lot of time into that, and just researching things. And so they went and did their own thing. They went fishing and did their stuff. And, as time kind of went on, I was paying more attention to the news, and more into myself, I guess, sort of like into my own mind, I guess, because I wasn't really socializing a whole lot. And I'd gotten laid off. And so I just kind of put more effort into gardening and whatnot. And I kind of wanted to go do stuff, like I kind of was missing what I knew beforehand. Like, I felt like I was missing something, or I felt like I had like this pull feeling. I didn't know what it was at the time, but it like slowly just started. And it started about like, I don't know, I'd say like a year and a half into my relationship that I was dating, long-term, the previous person. But, and instead of, I didn't really see it quite like I do now. Nobody ever does. But I just was getting this pull. And so and I'd always wanted, okay, and I figured if they were going to be gone all the time, that, I at least wanted, a buddy, and I always knew I wanted to be a mom. But, so, I kind of like, was like, hey, like, if we're going to do this and you're going to be doing that all the time, like, I want to feel like I'm living too, which, in hindsight, you look at it later, it's a little different. We'll get to that. But, so, long story short, like, try for like, I don't know, a year or two, and nothing was happening, and I was doing everything right. Like, I was drinking like 1 cup of coffee a day, exercising, being healthy. I mean, I did, I smoke cigarettes a little bit. I'm not perfect, but pretty healthy. I'm a little older, but I mean, I was just getting a little flustered, and I spent a lot of like, I'm a pretty cheap person, and I spent a lot of money on different supplements and different trying different things and like tests, and basically like spent a small fortune on it. And, eventually got to the point where I was like, going to doctor's appointments, and that wasn't really helping me because they weren't really listening. So I was researching myself, which I tell you not to do. But long story short, basically started thinking it could be somebody else. And so to kind of ask them if they'd go do their thing, go get it checked out, because I was driving myself a little crazy and getting like flustered and pissed off every month, I guess, when I get a girly thing, like fuck life kind of thing. And basically, I figured I was investing so much time into something, and I had put this much effort into something, and I was doing everything I was supposed to do, so I should be getting something out of this, And I started kind of like getting bitter, and again, like didn't really have as much outlet to go and like, you get the contrast of things, and you get like a little friction, which isn't bad, it keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you humble and social. We're social creatures. We're meant to be in groups or pairs. And, sometimes we're meant to be alone too. So it's a hidden blessing in the long run But at the time, I was looking at it kind of like as a death sentence or a casket, my peaceful sanctuary that I had. So long, story short, I was getting flustered, and I kind of acted out of character towards the end of it because I kept on like giving like warnings or ultimatums, which basically you're asking for an end to things if you're asking for an ultimatum. And I didn't realize the consequences of my actions at the time. And long story short, I couldn't figure it. I was like, if they care, they'll go do it on their own instead of me having to ask all the time. And finally, I got to a point where, like, just personally, I'm not saying it was right, but I ended up doing something out of character that I normally wouldn't, and out of desperation and selfishness, really, I guess. You can't force life and stuff, but I did end up going and finding what I needed to, and it ended up working. Before I knew it worked, so, like, basically, guilt-wise, it's something I wouldn't normally do. Basically, I went and slept with somebody that wasn't, and basically for the pure, just wanting the after result thing of it. But I mean, it just wasn't, I didn't feel like right about that part of it. So, I ended up, talking to the person I was dating at the time, and I was like, kind of spilt the beans, and I was like, I normally wouldn't have done these things, but, it's a big sign saying, something's just not right, and, like, I was afraid of, like, the consequences of what that would bring a little bit, like the unknown, like there's not really many places here. Like that was my life for a long time. I didn't necessarily like want that to be over because I appreciated the friendship and the companionship, and I really did and do love and care about that person, but I started looking at it like, maybe a little less selfishly, and there is a little bit more to the story, and I'll have to backtrack to that later, but just giving you kind of a rundown. And just honest, because what's the point of sharing a story if you're not honest? Might not necessarily be what I want everybody to know, but, it's part of the story. And it just goes to show that we're all human, and we all, like, can sometimes let our wants and our efforts and what we think we're supposed to be getting out of them get to us, and maybe not in the most healthiest ways. And just getting back to center and grounding and humbling yourself, like sucking it up and realizing that sometimes we're jerks, or sometimes we make poor choices due to, desperate people, desperate times. But anyway, so basically we kind of came to the, I finally realized, like there's somebody out there that is going to love him too, that he's meant to be with, that it's not going to feel forced, and it's not going to have to be asked, and it's not going to have to, it's going to flow. And sometimes, people are there for a time being, you're supposed to learn certain lessons from people and then move on. And I was afraid of the move on part because I figured I spent 18 hours a day in the yard, and I spent all this time doing this and all that, and we've spent this much time doing this and that. And I wanted I was, I guess, putting an expectation on getting something out of what I was investing in that. And that's investment's not love. I mean, I guess you do invest time and whatnot, but I mean, dedication is different than investment. And, basically I figured like we were both holding each other back. Like I was being called to go do something. I was being pulled, and I didn't, I felt it, and I was trying to fight it, and I finally like figured it out. But I figured it out with the really good help of somebody I care about and love, and they're amazingly great friends. And, so we don't always get along necessarily, but previous to me finding out that it actually did, I didn't know that it had worked yet, but so January 14th, 2020, I believe. Is it 2020? January? Or was it 21? January of 21. So January 14th, and on the 12th is when I had gone and done the deed I did. And so I went to go visit a good friend, and we were talking, and hanging out, and I don't know, we were just chilling and hanging out, and I did partake in a little greenage. And it made me a little loopy-headed, and I think that I got a little confused, and I had like a lot going on in the background of things. And then what basically ended up happening is I had started doing yoga and breathing, and because of trying to make the baby thing with my ex, like, I figured out, like, I always thought I had this ball of energy, I should blast it. And I kind of realized that, like, the peacefulness, the calmness of it, and not working out for the physical effects of something, but going for the relaxation of it and the sensing yourself and looking within. And I really do think that yoga helped me have my epiphany or my miracle. But so I started doing that like little by little, and I never thought I'd be a yoga person or a like calm and like meditative, like chill person. I never thought that that was me. I tried it in the past and it didn't work. But I started kind of doing it, and some of them I liked and some I didn't. And I kind of started like, just going into, calming myself instead of having to have like the result that I wanted, like letting go of it. And I think, through yoga and a good friend of mine I talked with a lot, I think that that really like helped, kind of get the ball moving, so to say, or not moving in a way. But so I think little by little, there were little steps that just led to where I got to. And basically, like, I don't know, it's going to sound kind of funny, but like when they say, as I walk through the shadow or as I walk through the valley of death, basically shadows, your shadow side. And like I had a son and he passed away, and I had something like so deeply buried inside me. I wasn't like hateful or resentful or anything. I just, when it happened, I guess I just buried it. And I tried to feel it before, and it just, maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe I wasn't in the right state to feel it. I wasn't, aware yet. I wasn't there. I wasn't at that step yet. And then went to visit my friend, and we always have good conversations. Sometimes I don't always get the actual message until later, but it ends up, making sense later, even though sometimes I'm a brat and I get a little upset. But basically, like, we're talking, and I think we both kind of confused and ruffled each other a little bit. And so I just finally, like, stopped and, like, went, like, so deep within, like, into, like, the void, into the darkness. And all of a sudden, it was crazy. I had, like, this, like, my eyes were closed, and I was just, like, it's the most achieved I've ever been in any sort of quietness ever in my existence. And I just went, like, I just kind of focused like on darkness, on nothing. And I just kept like focusing through the darkness on like a little pinpoint. And then all of a sudden, like I felt like this orange orb in front of me. And I thought I was like, there's no way if I open my eyes, it's going to be there. And it was talking to me like without talking. And it told me that it was just like crazy because it's like this bright orange glow. And I could see it with my eyes closed, and it was right in front of me. I could feel it. I could see it. It was part of me. It was kind of crazy. And I was like, I was like, this is really cool, but it's like, there's no way it's going to be there if I open my eyes. And I hadn't opened my eyes yet. And it told me I was going to go through something. I was going to go through something like really traumatic and really hard, but I was going to be okay through it. And I had like another little vision in there too. It just kind of came to me. It didn't like really, one thing wasn't said, and then the next thing was said. It was just like said or done, or I don't know. But I felt like, and I am not religious at all. I'm spiritual. I've never believed in just one or the other. We got a good base. My mom was very non-biased. We went to all sorts of different places. Synagogue. We went to Baptist places. We went to our Mormon friends' places. We got raised Franciscan Catholic and Indian kind of, like nature-y. And, it's just very open. It's like my mom always said that we all carry a bucket of water, and water finds its own level wherever it finds it. So basically, like I opened my eyes and my friend was there, and I don't, whatever, when the spirit speaks to you, it speaks to you in the way that you're going to relate to it. And I think that we're all tied together, and yet it's our own experience based on how it feels. It's not going to freak us out, or how we need it, or maybe, maybe it's all different for everybody, and yet all the same in one at the same time. And it's beyond my brain's words for it, or it's just what it is, and it's beautiful, and it was a miracle. And basically, I was putting all my mishaps and my sins in there, because if that can happen to me, that can happen for all of us. I wasn't necessarily like, I was on the right path because that's where I needed to be at the time, but I mean, I wasn't making the right choices, and I was kind of going a little crazy. I was going to check myself into a mental institution probably a week before that, because I freaked out my family, and it was COVID and the news, and it was just spazzing me out on Facebook, and people being mean to each other and like not caring about each other. And I kind of like went the opposite spectrum on that, but hindsight wise, like I opened my eyes and the orb was still there. I was like, I honestly thought that my friend was like, or love. Like I thought he was like a magician or he was doing that. Like I was like, I knew it. I knew you could do that stuff. And I was like, are you doing that? And like they're just kind of looking at me and like, at first they weren't saying much. So I didn't know if they really were in on this with me or not. And I was like, what's going on? And it was like, I felt this like rainbow wave. It was like a fucking, just like almost like a music note, like course, a giant, whimsical, beautiful rainbow music note. And I could feel the colors. I could like hear them. Like they were like sound. I don't know. It was just a wave of light and sound and this angel orb. I didn't know it was an angel at the time. I honestly thought it was like, some spirit. But I mean, guess who knows? Words lack. But anyway, um, my friend like obviously thought I was going a little whacked out and crazy, and it was just kind of crazy. And so like after that, like, obviously I was acting kind of weird, so they'd asked me to go. So I went and sat in the van, and I called my sister, and I was telling her about it because I figured anybody else would have thought I was nuts. My sister Trina is naturally pretty gifted in the sense of the spirit, and I didn't know who else would. She was very welcoming and open about stuff and happy for me. And then about, for like 3 days afterwards, I had like, I got to talk to my son, I got to talk to my mom, I got to talk to my brother. It was through music and vibration and sound, and it was really cool. It was awesome. And I had asked for like years before that, and I just, it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And I'd have dreams about my mom, but I only got to see like my son, like, once in a little dream, and I missed him, and I got to talk to my brother and everybody, and it was just kind of crazy. And I figured if I told anybody about it, they're going to think I was absolutely nuts. So I really didn't tell many people about that. And the other message I got in there with it, like I was absolved of things. I was absolved of my hurt. I was absolved of like everything. I don't know. It's just I saw it so much clearer and so much different, and it was beautiful. And like like I've never been one to like people are like, oh, are you lost? And like, yeah, no. I guess you have to be wandering around if you're lost. I didn't need to be saved. That's why I always say, I don't need to be saved, so I'm not lost. But I do get what they mean by that now, and it's beyond words. But the other message I did get with it, and teach your own and everybody, and I would honestly have thought that like Buddha or a Taoist master or somebody would have came to me, or Jimi Hendrix or something. But it was Jesus in this case, and the message I got is like, don't judge your brother or your neighbor. There's many different paths to light, and we all find it in our own time, in our own when we do, and it's all unique and special to us. There, and we make a choice. We have a choice. We choose, and I'm not saying you get to choose when it happens, but we choose. Once you know, and you can like live all the good deeds and go and do and practice all you want, but it's what's in your heart. Not getting tainted through hurt and pain. Like, like we all get a little closed off when you go through things. I think it's natural. And, don't beat yourself up when you do. But there is something to like, like maybe, like we're going to get tests and trials and tribulations here on this earth plane. I do believe we're in heaven, or a part of heaven. I think it's what we choose to make it. I can choose to live in my hell that I created for myself when I was isolating myself and going berserky and crazy. Or I can choose to be in heaven and see what's really around me by being in the moment and not judging my brother. All the good deeds you do, they can't change what's in your heart. And it doesn't matter if you relate to Muhammad or Buddha or the universe, maybe you're your own God. Like, it doesn't matter what you relate to. But the source that courses through all of us is love. And love's the highest frequency. And love is what we are love. And, I'm not super religious, but I mean, I think that Jesus, Buddha, like they're all talking about loving each other. And love's patient and kind. It doesn't hurt each other. It doesn't, I'm not saying that we all don't fall short on that, but through the hurt that we do cause on others and the hurt that's inflicted on us, that we take that way. Because we get to a point where, you realize that people can only give you what they have, and how they treat others is truly how they feel about themselves, really. And I'm not saying that I'm great at following all this all the time. I fall short a lot, but I mean, I just try to get back on the teeter-totter. But that's the basic message, you know, like if you judge your brothers and your sisters, when your time does come, you're if that's what you feel you go to, or for the lack of words, whatever it is, you know, it's either go to blackness for eternity or whatever. It's probably not going to be very cool if it's, you know, you're not with everybody else that's love, you know. It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart, and that doesn't mean you're a perfect person, but you know, love for each other. And a lot of times we judge others because we don't understand. Fear is based on not understanding something, so you recognize it as being different. And when we take action upon our neighbors and whatnot, and spread like gossip or lies or or hurt, you know, or ego and taking things and basically peeing on each other or beating each other up, or, you know, instead of working together, which would be the smart thing to do, and the loving and caring thing to do, sometimes we take, or we hoard, or we're afraid of losing something, and that's where the fear creeps in. And basically, I guess my whole gist is, you know, regardless of where you were, we're right here, right now, and we have a choice, and can make a conscious, mindful effort. You know, what we eat, what we do, what we, you know, everything's alive and coursing. Everything's got a spirit. You know, it's just it's all about being better to each other, and that's the basic message I got. And just wanted to share the miracle I got, and appreciate the people that helped me get there. My family, it was very humbling. I had to go back and apologize a lot. You know, people I love and care about, close friends and loves and good people. And yeah, so here's my TED Talk, and there's more that goes to all that for being mindful, and or trying to be. I fall short sometimes. I have to practice it, and you just restart when you catch yourself. But I hope that helps some people out there, and I hope that somebody out there is interested in hearing that. And if it's meant to be, I think that, you know, energy and source and the universe will make it happen. Okay. Thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate your honest feedback. And love and peace and goodness to you. Thank you. Thanks for watching.